It's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard. I'm John Harper. Let's get things underway as I introduce the Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the host of the program as well. I like to call it our BOGO, our Daily Double, and that is none other than Kerry Fink. Hi, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper. Thank you. It is always a pleasure to gather around the radio here on 90.3 FM, WEJF. 90.3, and also for those of you who catch us online as well, WEJF.net. We appreciate so much you tuning in, and those who catch us later as a podcast. We're always joyful for that. In fact, a lot of times what we learn is people who are listening to the radio, they'll catch something that we're talking about and they'll want to share the information with people that maybe weren't able to hear it right away. Like, hey, Fred, this was really good what they were talking about. And that's the value of podcasts, is you can share them and they go all around the country, let alone all around the world. So every place you find a podcast, you name it, whether it's on iTunes or Spotify or Apple, Hey Alexa, you can find us there. So thank you for tuning in to the lunchtime gathering right here on the radio for WEJF. So we have a great bunch of stuff for us to talk about on today, and really excited to jump in and introduce our guests, because we're going to have a rollicking conversation, if I can use that word. We have none other than Carlos Cuesta, who is the owner of Synergy Homecare of Melbourne and Palm Bay. Hello, Carlos. How are you, sir?
Hey, Kerry. Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to be here. And yet, yes, last time we had one office. Now we're up to two offices.
Yeah, we're so glad, by the way, that you are part of the Helping Seniors family, because your office, at least in Melbourne, you're in here with us in the Senior Resource Center. We call it Joe's Senior Resource Center because we named it after our founder, longtime president, Joe Steckler. But it's a great facility. We're right there close to the hospital, a couple blocks from the hospital there, Holmes Regional, on South Apollo Drive, in a building that they call the Omni Healthcare Building, or Apollo Professional Tower. So thank you for being with us today.
No, I look for, when you invited me, I said automatically, I always say yes.
Thank you.
I love being here, so thank you for having me again.
Thank you, Carlos. And another great person that's in the studio with us, a longtime friend of Helping Seniors, her name is Karen Civitate. She is the lead AARP Florida volunteer, heads up everything that happens with AARP here in Brevard County. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Kerry. Always glad to join you on your radio show and work events with you.
Oh, it's a blessing. Hey, we had such a good meeting. You know, the AARP Chapter 2622 is back in action. They take the kind of like a summer hiatus, and we just had the greatest meeting on Monday over at the what they call the Bacosca Center right here in Palm Bay, and it meets every
third Monday of the month.
Yeah, it's like a lunch program. It goes from 11 to 1. This time, one of our own very wonderful people that works with us on Helping Seniors, her name is Vicki Moore. She and her business associate, Kara Davis, they're both licensed insurance agents, and they were there to teach us about all the changes that are coming in Medicare and Medicaid for 2026. And I was saying that, even though I try to keep up with this stuff, to me, Karen, I learned stuff that, as much as I'm around those guys, I learned new stuff just in that talk.
Yeah, we got a lot of positive feedback about the same thing. A lot of people were unaware of things that are going to be changing, and her ability and her availability to help them on a one-on-one if they need to make sure they're making the right decisions.
Yeah, and Carlos, you know Vicki well because she's another one of our wonderful people who makes their office there in the Joe Senior Resource Center as well.
Yeah, Vicki and I go back a while. We partner on a lot of projects together. She's a great lady, and I always recommend Vicki all the time.
So I wanted to say that about that because in general, I want to kind of like maybe back the train up just a minute and talk about Helping Seniors. When Joe Steckler founded this organization 15 years ago, John Harper was literally right by his side. So was Nancy Deardorff, who's our director of operations. Today, John is our president. But 15 years ago, and I met Joe at the time that he was putting this together, and Joe was saying he'd just come off of building up the Joe's Clubs for Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation, great resource in our community. And when I met him, he was like, Kerry, we've got to do more for seniors in Brevard County. And 15 years ago, that was smart saying, but today, 15 years later, it's more important than it ever has been. And the point I wanted to get at about that is that Joe was committed to getting information in the hands of seniors, because as Nancy Deerdorf, our director of development, often says, so how do you know what you don't know? She's got 30 years of registered nurse experience, and then what she talks about so often is basically the fact that when you are running into senior things, you could be the smartest person in the room, but this is all new and important for you to get a handle on. And a lot of times you find out by crisis. And so we have adopted something that Joe always talked about. He called it making an aging plan. And so because Joe called it making an aging plan, we have euphemistically called it getting your ducks in a row. And so because of that, we just wanted to get people to start thinking ahead about stuff that they may be running into, and not just be reactive, but be a little bit proactive. So one of the things that I really appreciate about everything we try to do in the helping seniors world is we're trying to get information in the hands of people. And one of the corollaries that we always add in is, don't try this on your own. There's so much expertise out there for you. This could be the first time that you're dealing, for example, with home care, or having to think about that. You can call somebody like Carlos Cuesta at Synergy Home Care, who has been doing this day in, day out, helping families for years, is backed up by the fastest growing franchise, Synergy. Synergy, you guys are like all over the country. Am I saying that?
Yeah, it's incredible that we're already one of the largest home care agencies in the country, but we just got awarded for 5 years in a row the fastest growing in the country. So being one of the largest and still being being the fastest growing is amazing. And we just learned about 3 new offices opening up in Florida just this week alone.
Well, see, this is my point. It's like when you call, for example, if the need is, we are going to talk about that in the show, about getting the right home care and what all that can mean and why it's important. But one of the reasons that we talked to Carlos is because this is somebody who really is, A, dedicated to his profession, B, has so much experience to share, expertise. He understands VA processes. There's all kinds of things that you don't have to go this stuff on your own. You get help from people who know about this. And that was going to be my point about Vicki Moore, and what I thought was so valuable about what she was sharing Monday at the AARP chapter meeting, Karen, was the fact that, your mailbox gets deluged with all this stuff during what they call annual enrollment period. Is why everything fills up your mailbox basically October through December. And the problem that we understand now through the help of folks like Vicki Moore and Kara Davis, and we have many good independent agents that work with us. Another wonderful guy, his name is Jerry Hadlock, but they all tell us the same thing. It's like, don't try to read all that fine print, and don't make the mistake of assuming just because what you had this year worked okay, it's going to work in the same fashion next year, because there's changes. So the point is, rather than you having to take out all those pieces of mail or maybe go online, read the fine print, why not sit down with somebody who's local, who cares, who knows this drill inside and out? They eat, live, sleep, breathe it. And that's why I think the AARP chapter meetings also are so important, because each time you guys bring in somebody who shares a lot of wisdom, Karen.
Yeah, the other thing that Vicki talked about was, don't, on the phone calls, you'll get a lot of phone calls, and they'll try to talk you into different plans, and they don't know you, they don't know your history.
Yeah.
So sitting down with someone personally is the best way to go.
Yeah, Carlos, this is something we talk about a lot, because we said there's 2 things. Number one, don't try this on your own. And that means 2 things. A lot of times we think we're smart. We'll go on, do an online search and try to figure out what we need. But it can be dangerous because, the first rule of internet is everything you read on the internet is true, right? And then the second thing is, you don't know if it's appropriate for your
for your geography. That's an easy word for me to say. And you don't know if it's timely for you. And I keep going, why would you not talk to somebody? Don't call an 800 number you see on TV. And why not sit down with somebody who's your neighbor and say, here's what I'm trying to figure out how to do, who's an expert in this, and say, help me figure out the best choice for me, Carlos.
Yeah, having someone local means a lot. For example, we had a family that they were going away for 2.5 weeks from here in Palm Bay up to Oregon, and their mother was being left alone 24/7. So they came to us over Labor Day weekend saying, we're going away on Labor Day. Can you help us out 24/7? Within 2 days, we got the coverage 24/7 for a 2-week period. And I was there at 6 o'clock in the morning checking in my caregivers, 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, whatever it took, because I'm local. Number one, I care. Number two is my name and my reputation. I'm well known in Palm Bay. I want my reputation to be good.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I want to take care of their loved one, their mother.
Thank you. You see, you just said a key word. We're talking about accountability. When you call an 800 number, you might be talking to a nice person who's got a headset on out in, I don't know, I'm just making this up, Nebraska. And while they care, I'm not saying they don't care, they're doing the best they can with their own internet search. Whereas, wouldn't it make sense to talk to somebody you can sit right across the table with? And so when things go well, you're getting a lot of information. And quite frankly, if there ever is a problem, you can sit down directly with the person. You're not caller number 74 and your estimated wait time is 24 minutes. You're actually talking to somebody that can probably help you right away and make sure whatever challenges we're facing are getting fixed. Carlos, I think, you and I have talked about this, and we're going to save some of this conversation for the second half of the show, but I wanted to at least comment that I think one of the reasons that you and your agency are so effective at helping people is that you have, 30 plus years in HR, so you understand people. And what I'm talking about is like when you're hiring people to be the caregivers, that gives you great insight in how to make sure that you're getting like people that you really want to represent your company.
Yeah, exactly. We 39 years, believe it or not, 39 years, almost 40 years in human resources. So I brought out a lot of that expertise into the business of Synergy Home Care, choosing the right candidates. Of course, their experience, the reference checks, the fingerprints, the background check, all that's important. But really identifying caregivers that care, that want to do a good job, and then when we place them, we don't have any turnover. We make sure that they do care for their clients and they want to do a good job. That's where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about, I really do want to carve out time and talk a little bit about the importance of home care, what it is, how you pay for it, how to figure out that you're getting good home care. And we're going to reserve time into the second half of the show. But right now, I want to kind of visit a little bit with Karen Civitate, again, Florida AARP lead volunteer here in Brevard County. We've already talked about the fun that we have each month at the AARP chapter. There's also some neat things that are coming up, and we really wanted to put some time aside today to make sure that you have an invitation for next Tuesday. This is where it's happening. It's going to be happening here in Palm Bay because AARP is bringing back the so much fun Senior Appreciation Day. Karen, talk about this.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to bringing this to us locally here. We had one out on Wickham Road. We had some challenges. There was some June blood bugs or whatever they're called in Florida. But this is going to be a great event. We hope everyone can come out and visit. It's going to be free food, always free food, raffle, music. It's at Morel's Bar and Grill on Robert Conlon, and so we hope to see everybody. It's really going to be fun.
Yeah, the hours for that it starts at 11. Is that right?
11:30 to 2:30. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is going to.
Wait. Did I hear free food?
You heard free food, Carlos.
I'll be there.
So listen, and isn't your Palm Bay office right around the corner from that?
Yeah, I can walk.
Okay, so definitely you will meet Carlos there as well. So this is really good. No, this was so much fun when we did this before because what AARP does, first of all, I am surprised. I'm having this conversation with Karen literally this week. AARP does so much good for so many people in so many ways that you may not even realize. We're going to talk about how we partner together, for example, on the Scam Jam program. We're going to talk about a lot of the work that AARP is doing nationally to advocate and make sure that seniors are in fact getting really as much help as they deserve. particularly on national levels and state levels and things like that. So the work is so important. But then what I've really been excited about is how Brevard County is really is kind of coming alive because of the help of AARP and the work that you guys are doing for seniors. You guys have really gotten involved. All too often, I say this, all too often people think generally, because I look at a map and go, oh, you guys are basically Orlando. So yes, we'll go over to Orlando for a theme park. We'll go over to Orlando maybe to use an airport once in a while. But for the most part, we live here on this 71-mile strip of the Atlantic Ocean, north to south. And while we are part of Orlando, but we really are our own community. And Karen, that's what's been so good about what you've been doing, pulling together a team of volunteers. We partner on so many things. It's what I'm just thinking, like the Walk with the Doc program is one of them. Talk about how that came about. That's so much fun up in Merritt Square Mall.
Yeah, we it's Walk with the Doc, and we brings the community together. It's at Merritt Square Mall every second Friday of the month from 9 o'clock, and you can come and walk. You can come and use your walker. You walk around the mall. We do exercising. We do, there's a nurse practitioner there that will give you medical information. We stretch. You can talk to her one-on-one, which is really nice because she'll give you more time than probably the doctor's office will. And so it's been fun. It's been community. It's bringing community together. It's bringing people out. It's in a safe environment to walk. Temperature-wise, it's great. We can walk any time of year. It's not too
rain
hot.
or shine.
Rain or shine, not too hot. Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun, and we're growing, and we want to continue to grow.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Lydia Rivera, who's our ARNP, who comes out and leads us in the walk, she's such a wonderful person to talk to. I see how people, like, when the walk, she helps us stretch out and do all the right things, and then when we all start walking, everybody can go at their own pace. Some people will do 3 laps, some people will do half a lap. It's just, it's more just the camaraderie of getting out there and doing things together like that. So it really is a wonderful opportunity for us, and it's so much fun. And like this past month, it was neat because she brought in a guest speaker who was talking to us. He was ARNP, who was trained in anxiety and things like that, and he came and talked to us as a group before we all did the walk, gave us kind of a little pep talk, like, you don't have to live with anxiety. And I think that was by itself great information too.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that were very happy with that and said that the information he gave was really good information, and they were nice. It was nice of him to be there and do that and share that.
Yeah, and so I always say, like every time you go to a doctor's office, it's like it's almost a requirement. The doctor has to tell you, well, you need to do more getting out and moving about. Movement is good. And that's why I say that's one of the benefits you get with Walk with the Doc. You also get the fact that you get to be out and have fun with fun people. And then let's not forget there's door prizes and T-shirts, and it's just a fun morning out.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. We look forward to it every month.
So, and then we're hoping as we go along that maybe we're going to be able to expand that into more locations in Brevard County. But right now, you want to make sure that you put the second Friday, 9 a.m. down on your calendar and meet us at Merritt Square Mall. That's a lot of fun. But let's come back to what we had started talking about, which was the fun that we're going to have really Tuesday of next week. So we are talking about the AARP's Senior Appreciation Day. And in addition to all the good work you guys do, we've partnered together. We've had some very good and informative sessions on AI and helping seniors learn tech and things like that. We had a great volunteer training session. So those of us that want to get more involved are going to be in the right position. For example, I know AARP makes a big push into Tallahassee during the legislative session, and it was really great that you guys brought that whole training session here to the Melbourne area, so that those of us that wanted to get involved in that could learn how the program worked, what we would need to know, and how we would participate in that, so that we could be effective at advocating for everybody who's over the age of 50 plus when we are talking to government representatives, whether they be on the national, state, or local level. So much good. But then this Senior Appreciation Day, Karen, is just about having fun.
Yeah, come on out and see us, have fun, get some good resources. There'll be some good. Carlos will be there with some resources for you. There's going to be a lot of resources on fraud and scams And there'll be, I think, someone from Alzheimer's Association there.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the fun things about this for us in thinking about it is the fact that we get to call in a lot of our friends. So of course, Helping Seniors is going to be there. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that we will have your Helping Seniors raffle card tickets there. We're going to talk more about that later in the show as well, believe me. But that's a date you want to make sure you have on your calendar, by the way, Sunday, October 26th. But right now, on the next Tuesday, right there at Morel's on Robert Collin Boulevard in Palm Bay, what's exciting to me is that some of our great friends who are also vitally concerned about seniors, the Aging Matters folks, are going to be there. Our friends from Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation are going to be there, as is our friends from One Senior Place, who also do so much good for our seniors with their wonderful location up in Vieira. So it's like everybody that cares about seniors is coming together. And then I would be totally remiss if I didn't say part of the fun of this is becoming a multicultural celebration. Let's talk about that for a minute. I'm so excited that Javier Molinares, who is the Brevard Hispanic Chamber, he publishes the Spanish language newspaper here called Al Dia Today. He's in charge of the Brevard Hispanic Center, and he's partnering up on all this too, Karen.
Yeah, it was great for him to join us as well because he actually found the place for us to have it. And it's also, Bacasca will also be there for the Caribbean.
Right.
So we're trying to expand, the base of our community to everyone that's out there. So Javier has been really helpful in getting it and helping us get this together.
Yeah, this is fun because this is really representative. We live in a melting pot, and it's great to see us all get together because it really doesn't matter on some of these multicultural things. Aging is just flat aging, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So Carlos, this is going to be a fun event. So you're going to be there, right?
Oh, definitely. Karen had invited me, and I said I would not miss it.
Yeah.
And especially after I heard free food.
Yeah, well, the food should be...
You look at me, you can tell I can eat.
So listen, Karen has been there, and they're going to set us up a big buffet. Is that what's happening? And
yeah, that is correct. They're going to have a buffet, and it's going to be... I'm not going to share the food they're going to have because I want you to be surprised. But it's going to be very good. I went there. We tested the food. It's awesome.
So you can personally attest to the testing of the food.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
So you don't want to miss this. It's 11:30 till 2:30, and we need to have you RSVP because the most important thing is we want them to prepare the right amount of food. So we're asking if you would the simple way to do it is give us a call on our senior information helpline, and Karen Warnlander, one of our great volunteers, will take your contact information down and make sure you're on our guest list there. But it's 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. And just make sure you make plans to join us for this. This is a great time out that we're gonna enjoy on next week. Well, I think we're about ready to take our mid-show break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of the great things going on, and we're going to talk with Carlos Cuesta of Synergy Homecare. Stay with us. Our friends at Bacasca, the Brevard, so I always get the acronym all messed up, but it's Brevard Caribbean Atlantic Sports Cultural Association. I might be close, but we call it Bacasca for short. By the way, their great facility is also where we have our AARP Palm Bay chapter meetings, and you said that's third Monday of each month, right?
That is correct, at 2174 Harris Avenue.
Yeah, so it's always fun. But one other thing before we leave off on the AARP efforts, I want to get one more date onto your calendar, especially if you're living up in Titusville, because on November 21st of this year, November 21st, we are going to be at Addington Place in Titusville. It's a beautiful assisted living facility up there, and they are going to host our second Scam Jam. If you remember, we did a great Scam Jam in earlier this year with our friends over at the Brennedy in Vieira, and it was so well attended. I think we had 50 seats and wound up with like 70 people. So it ended up being standing room only, but the speakers were terrific. We had somebody from the sheriff's office. We had our state public attorney, Will Shiner, spoke. Elder law attorney Greg Schwendeman spoke. He's already committed to coming back and sharing on the top 10 scams that seniors are facing. Karen, you spoke at that and shared about, because AARP is really a front runner on, you guys are tracking everything that's happening nationally and really devoted. You have, in fact, your shirt says you're part of the Fraud Watch Network.
That is correct. I am one of the trainers that go out and talk to anybody that needs us to talk to them in their community about scams. Don't forget the shred trucks. We also have some shred trucks there where you can bring your documents, and we'll shred those, no cost to you. And we always have a lot of people that will clean up stuff.
I guarantee you, when we did this earlier this year, Tammy and I, we went through our garage. We're like, here's some stuff we need to get rid of safely. And that's the point, because after the event, they've scheduled a shred truck. So absolutely free of charge. They're going to shred your documents right on site. You don't have to worry about it. Somebody picking up your stuff in the landfill and scarfing your social security number or your banking information, because it's going to be done right there on the spot, right in front of your eyes, actually. And so it's all free because AARP is kind enough to partner with us to make that whole effort possible. Again, that's Friday, November 21st. So I want you to get that on your calendar. You can call us to RSVP for that, just like you should be calling us to RSVP for the Senior Appreciation Day next Tuesday to let us know you're coming, because there's going to be a lot of food there. It's going to be multicultural, fun experience, lots of great resources. But please call us to RSVP so we get the food count right. The worst thing you can do is throw a party and have so many people show up who didn't RSVP, and then, somebody gets left out just because they didn't tell us they were coming. We want it to be fun for everybody. So if we know you're coming, we can prepare for you. So give us a call, 321-473-7770. You'll talk to Karen Warnland, of one of our great volunteers at Helping Seniors. And kind of with that, Carlos, I want to shift gears for a couple of minutes. We're going to shift gears into the car raffle, too, before the show's over. But for a few minutes, I really want to talk to you about the experience of Homecare, because what we keep learning in the Helping Seniors, and we have no reason to exist. We're a charity, so we have no reason to exist other than to serve seniors and their families here in Brevard County. And I always tell people, that we are only able to do as much as you are able to help us do, which is why the car raffle fundraiser ends up being important. But I think one of the most important things that we can do is share information. Now, sometimes this information is like right now, you've got a situation going on, and this is going to help you for today or tomorrow. Mom's coming out of the hospital. They're telling her that she's going to need more help at home, or dad's going to be coming out of rehab, and, all these different things. And all of a sudden, things are shifting fast, and you need some help. And that's where Carlos Cuesta and the folks at Synergy Homecare are able to step in there. But also, we like to talk about these things before there's an emergency, because, how many of us know that when there's a time of crisis, we'll have to make a decision, but it doesn't mean it's the best decision, because A, we're under a lot of stress trying to figure out to do all this. There's a lot of time pressure. And then usually when there's time pressure, the expenses go up because your options are so limited. And so, Carlos, I know in talking with you that you're very gentle about how you sit down and work with families, and you take great, I don't want to use the word pride because that sounds like arrogant, but you take great pleasure in making sure that you sit with a family and really navigate them to something that's going to work for them. Talk a little bit about how home care comes into play.
Yeah, Kerry, you're absolutely correct. You don't want to wait till the last minute. So when a family calls me, we set up a time, and I'll go in personally as the owner, and I'll sit down and we conduct what's called a home assessment. So we can put a care plan together that specifically fits the family budget, care plans for their loved ones. So we'll sit down and go through what days of the week, what are the hours, and then get in exactly what the caregiver's duties will be.
Yeah.
So when the loved one comes home, we're ready and set to go. For example, we just had a family member, a loved one, their mother had a hip replacement surgery, coming home in Vieira. She lives in Vieira, and we had 24/7 coverage.
Yeah.
For a 2 week, it was about a 3 week period. And we were there every single day helping with light housekeeping, mobility, dressing, also with meal preps. And it went very smoothly. Yeah. And after the recovery period, the service was done, but they were very grateful. And then there were actually snowbirds, so they went back to Minnesota. So we miss them. But those are the services. They don't have to be long-term. There's no commitment. They could be for a day, a week, a month, whatever the case may be. We customize the plan for them, and we try to fit their budget as well.
Let's spin this around for just a minute and say, what are things that you would want a family to understand about home care generally? Like, we don't know when it's time to call somebody in. we were probably afraid that we would have to make some long-term commitment that might really harm our long-term financial planning. And what are some of the myths that you end up kind of like busting as you sit down with a family and you kind of navigate them into what's going to make sense for them?
I mean, the good thing about the home care, when you utilize a company like Synergy Home Care, you're getting a caregiver that's got the background check, the fingerprints done through ACA. So in that regard, you're safe. You're getting someone that's been checked out.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, there's no long-term commitment. So you can actually cancel the service with 2 days' notice.
Wow.
That's really great. And then you can customize it, so which means you can control your expenses, whether it's 1 day a week, 3 days a week, 5 days a week, night, days, weekends, it's up to you.
You know, I think one of the things, Joe Steckler, who was the founder of Helping Seniors, he would often talk about what he called elements of care. And he would talk about that you have to understand that you have to be sure that how you're working with your funds is going to meet your aging plan. And an aging plan, one of the things, I was talking to Tisha Hill, she is actually volunteers her time on our board of directors, but she's a high-powered executive with Raymond James and very used to working with families. And she says, Kerry, we don't really call it retirement planning. We call it longevity planning, because people have to be aware that in our world, there's a great likelihood you're going to live maybe even longer than you're thinking about. And so you want to be very careful in your planning to make sure that your planning captures that fact. And so Joe was always pretty adamant about getting started early, but getting the right amount of help, understanding you may need more help later. Talk a little bit about that, Carlos.
Yeah, and we actually work with a lot of financial planners.
Yeah.
So we do sit down and we help their clients. But by the way, just a lot of people don't know, we also work with long-term care insurance.
Yeah.
We also work with a lot of veterans where we can actually, I'll sit down with a veteran and we'll see if they're enrolled in the VA health system. If they're not, we help them enroll.
Right.
And then get VA benefits at no cost to them.
Yeah.
Whether it's homemaker benefits and or aid and attendance, where they get into a pension plan. Actually, I'm meeting with a family tomorrow to get them into the home care and aid and attendance.
You know, that part of this whole conversation is so important because, again, I think I used it earlier in the show, but Nancy Deerdorf, our director of development, who comes, with 30 plus years of registered nurse experience, and as I mentioned at the outset of the show, just like John Harper, our president, on the other side of the radio glass here, he and Nancy were part of the, when Joe called this whole organization together, they were right there from the beginning. And Nancy always goes, how do you know what you don't know? And so you've got to start investigating and talking to somebody, because there could be answers out there for the challenges that you face and you don't even know it. But my point that I wanted to come back to is what I really appreciate about how I've seen you work with families. Some people, might rush in and say, oh, well, we can give you, round the clock and blah, 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 because that's what's going to be good for their company. But I see how you actually will sit down and try to parse out what is really needed and come up with the best solution that's kind of seems to balance all sides of that equation out.
Yeah, I had one client that her husband would get up at night and she lived with him alone. And he would get up and she would be afraid because she could not sleep, number one. And number two, she was afraid he would fall. So I sat down with her and said, what can you afford? What is your budget? And believe it or not, it was very, very low budget. And I said, look, for that budget, this is what I can do for you. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not in the red. I'm not losing money. But I said, this is what I can do for you. I helped her 3 nights a week.
Yep.
Certain amount of hours. And she was very appreciative.
And
she actually gave me a 5-star review.
So this is back to a point, Karen and Carlos, that I was mentioning at the beginning of the show, right? Like when you sit down and you talk to Vicky, we were talking about Vicky Moore on the insurance side earlier, and we were talking with Carlos. I said, you're talking to the owner of the company, and these are people who care, right? So they have a business, they have their bills, they have the things that they need to accomplish, but their hearts are in the right place about making sure that what we're doing for the senior is actually going to be a solution, and it's not just going to take it out of their hide, as I guess maybe a poor way to put it, but you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do anything and everything possible to help a family. That's why we're in the business. People call me and say, what's your minimum? How many days or how many hours a day? I go, I don't have a minimum. What's your price list? I don't have a price list. let's sit down, let's talk, let's see what I can do for you, and I will make it as possible, the best of my abilities to make it work for you.
I was smiling as you were saying that thing because, I think this is not like something you can pull through a drive-through and say, give me one of those. I want a number one meal or whatever. Every family has got a different, there's so many parts to the equation, and it takes somebody who's willing to take the time and sit down and just explore it. And the other thing I've seen is that you're perfectly willing to sit down with a family, talk them through it, and even if it's not business right now, it might be business down the road, but you're willing to share your time and your expertise.
And I want to just add that by doing that, having that personal relationship with them, you probably won't be scammed. Put it
Right.
that way. You'll avoid fraud. When you talk to people on the phone, you never know what they're going to do with the information. Same with the internet. But when you're sitting down with Vicky or with Carlos, you've got one-on-one. They're going to protect your data, and you're going to be safe from any fraud.
Yeah, they're your neighbors. They live in the same town. You're gonna see them. To that point, Carlos, I just want to bring this up too. A lot of times people will pluck a business card off of a bulletin board in some, maybe it's down at the library, maybe it's at the grocery store, something like that. And here's this, lovely lady who's going to watch mom for, just this number that just sounds like incredibly. I would say inexpensive to if you've ever called, what it takes, because not only, Carlos, do you have to pay your people properly so you get good people, but then you have all the responsibility as an employer. You have insurance, you have all these different things to give the family peace of mind that everything is being done correctly. And that person who stuck that card up on the bulletin board may be well-meaning, or they may not. You just don't know, Carlos.
Yeah, as an employer, our caregivers are all W-2 employees, so they're fully bonded, workers' comp, liability, anything were to happen, they're covered. And as a homeowner, you should be concerned about that because you don't want to be holding the bag if something were to happen.
Yeah.
So that's I always tell my clients, make sure you want to go with an agency that they are fully bonded, W-2 employees, number one. And number two, if you go down with Mary down the street, who is that Mary? You don't know who that is. Do they have a background check? Are they insured or not?
Yeah.
And if you do go with that person, and you may think, what if she calls out or she's sick or goes on vacation? Who's your backup?
Right. Then those problems become your problems. And worse, if somebody gets hurt on your property, then you might be the employer. If they have to, if you say we're going to stop, they might go and say, well, we're going to claim unemployment. And now you've got all of that going on, too.
Well, that's the other thing. If they file unemployment one day, let's say they do with the state of Florida, and they put you down as the employer. Well, you may get a knock on the door or a ring on the phone saying, hey, you're the employer.
Yeah.
You owe payroll taxes.
Yeah. So these things are really, why mess with this? I know it sounds attractive, but then also, Karen, I know from your role in the AARP Fraud Watch Network, we've seen these things go horribly wrong, where the caregiver that was supposed to be hired to watch mom a little bit, watches mom and takes everything else. It happens.
Yeah, they take things from the home, but they also use that Medicare number. And they file false claims against your Medicare account and make money that way. So there's a lot of things that definitely happen in the house when you have just anybody coming in to take care of people.
Yeah, I heard a story about this that was actually kind of shocking because, the creativity and the lengths that people will go to these days about stuff like that. It's not only about your Medicare number, but I've heard somebody gives the person oh, I want you to go grocery shopping, take my credit card down or debit card down and go and get shopping. And this they talk about this a lot at the Florida State Guardianship Association. Person does cash back and there's extra $50 or $75 that's just disappearing every time they go to the store. So these are things that you don't have to concern yourself with, because when you call Carlos, you can always call Carlos and go, Carlos, am I okay on this? And then Carlos has to make sure it's okay on this, right?
Yeah, thank God we have never had that issue in 3 years. Again, we're very careful. We do the background checks, the reference checks. We know who we're hiring.
Yeah.
So we're very careful about that. But you do have to be careful. Who you're giving access to your home, to your credit cards. You got to be very careful. And again, sometimes you think you know the person who's coming into your home, but do you really know them?
Yeah.
And that's where we're using an agency like Synergy Homecare. it's a safeguard.
Yeah. So, Carlos, if somebody wants to get in touch with you guys, first of all, they can always drop by the Senior Resource Center, 1344 South Apollo Boulevard. But, there's probably a phone number or website or other ways people can get in touch.
The best way to reach me is if you call my office number and hit extension 101, and if it's after hours, it'll roll right into my cell phone. So I'm accessible 24/7.
Yep.
That number is 321-340-3828. Again, 321-340-3828, extension 101. And if it's after hours or weekend, it rolls right into my cell phone.
Yeah, no, it's good. And I was going to say, so as sometimes numbers fly by and maybe you don't get a chance to jot them down, you can always call our Helping Seniors number, 321-473-7770. I'm going to say it again so you can get that number down. Keep it handy, 321-473-7770. The reason is because you could always call up and say, hey, I heard that nice gentleman speaking about home care.
That's me.
That would be Carlos Cuesta with Synergy Home Care, and say, I'd just like to talk to him, and I got some questions, and they'll get you in contact. And it's also the right number to RSVP for our fund that we're going to have next Tuesday that we were talking about in the show, which is our Senior Appreciation Day together with our friends from AARP. And we're going to devote the last moment or two to talk about two things. First of all, the car raffle, which is our big fundraiser, is happening Sunday afternoon, October 26th at the American Muscle Car Museum. This is actually, believe it or not, our 9th annual, and it's so important that you get a ticket. You must get a ticket. I tell everybody now, I said, I know you're going to get sick of me talking about this between now and October 26th, and that's okay. Forgive me. But this is our major fundraiser for the Helping Seniors. We don't ask all the time, but we can't do the work we do without your help. So Joe came up with this car raffle as a great way to raise money for the organization, and it's also actually kind of a give back into the community because AJ Hires, with the great family of car dealerships, has selected 7 great cars from his lineup of great dealerships. I don't care, Chevy, Dodge, Ram, you name it. There's something in there for everybody. Kia, we've got Mitsubishis in there. We've got Jeeps in there. There's really one of almost every car that matters. And you get to pick the car you want to go home in out of these 7 great choices selected for you. And we find out who's going to win that on the 26th of October. It's a fun Sunday afternoon. Both Karen and Carlos are pointing at themselves going, it's me, I'm going to win. It is so much fun. Last year, our winner, Jim Newman from Cocoa, he wanted the Chevy Colorado truck. The year before, Diane Pelak, she wanted that Mitsubishi Outlander. It's going to be fun to see what you pick when we draw your name out of the barrel on Sunday, October 26 at the American Muscle Car Museum. Now, while you don't have to be present to win, we want you to be there because it's free, it's included, it's fun. You get to tour Mark Pylock's amazing collection of 500 plus great cars, and he's got stuff. He's got tanks, he's got bicycles, he's got outboard motors. So even if you're not a car nerd, you're going to find something in that museum that is just amazing to see. And what a great philanthropist he is in our community, because you can't go, it's his private garage. You can't just walk up and say, can I see these cars? You have to go in when he opens it up for a charity event. And we're so grateful to him that every year he's allowed us to come back and do this. And so it's also 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on that Sunday, October 26th. So it's a great opportunity for you to come out. And because it's the last Sunday in October, we're making it the world's largest trunk or treat out there as well, because we're going to have several hundred cars outside, and they will all have candy and fun stuff for kids. And listen, because it's a Sunday afternoon, Mark has graciously said kids coming in with adult ticket holders can come in for free. So this is a great family Sunday afternoon.
So wait a minute. So I got to go out and find a kid then.
You can. I'd say, call your kids, call your grandkids, go out and find a neighbor kid, but let's do something good in the community on Sunday, October 26th. So which car, Karen, would you pick, if we pull your ticket out of the barrel?
Well, when you pick my ticket out of the barrel, I would like either the Kia Sportage or the Mitsubishi Outlander, I'm thinking.
Okay. How about you, Carlos?
Well, I'm sorry, Karen, but it's going to be my ticket, and I'm picking the fast car, Dodge Hornet.
Oh, wow. Wow, look at you. Look at you guys. You know, I think it's going to be fun to see whoever wins. And somebody is going to go home with keys to a new car. It might as well be you, but you got to be in it to win it. So go get your tickets today. Go by any Boniface Hires dealership. Carlos, you should have tickets. You can come by the office, get tickets. You can call us 321-473-7770. You can go to Helping Seniors Car Raffle, get them safely and securely online. And one last thing before we go. This Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 noon, I hope if you're anywhere near Calvary Church grounds right there in West Melbourne, that you'll pop by 8 a.m. to 12 noon. They're doing a big car show, and it's all to support the work of helping seniors. It's free, whether you have a car or whether you just want to come out and explore the fun. Just be in it to win it. HelpingSeniorsCarRaffle.com. That's the time we have for today. We so look forward to seeing you right back here next Wednesday, 12 noon on 90.3 FM, WEJF.